Service animals provide not only companionship, but also life-saving skills for millions of people. One local organization provides these service animals for our nation's warriors. And joining me today on Newsmakers to talk about Heartland K9s for Veterans is Executive Director Kevin Pruitt. Thanks for joining us, Kevin.
Thanks for having me today.
So tell us what Heartland K9s is and how it got started.
Well, what we are is an organization, we're a non-for-profit, that we take professionally and purpose-bred dogs and then we professionally train them as service dogs, provide them to veterans that are dealing with PTSD and related issues such as anxiety, depression. A lot of times we combine that also with mobility training. So if they don't necessarily have to be in a wheelchair or have a prosthetic, but they may use a cane, a walker, they may be on their 5th knee surgery and it's very difficult for them to pick up items that have fallen, so we can train dogs to help with that, as well as getting up and down off of furniture, assistance up and down stairs, things like that. We can combine that with the PTSD training.
And so what's the organization's main goal?
That is basically our main goal,
Okay.
is to take these dogs and provide them at no cost to these veterans that are suffering from PTSD. In basically an attempt, it's our part to help alleviate some of the issues that they have. It is also an encouragement to get off the couch, get out and do something, and relate to the public again, because a lot of them get more and more withdrawn from the public because of their anxieties, because of their issues that they're suffering from. If these dogs can help alleviate some of that and get them out the door, number one, they have to take them outside to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
So it's one of those deals where if it's a motivating factor, that's great. The other thing is by doing this and providing these, we hope that we can continually reduce the number of our veterans that commit suicide.
Right.
We lose almost 20 veterans a month to suicide. We should not lose more veterans than we've ever lost in any war to suicide.
Right.
My dad, my friends that have served, some of which died in the line of their service, didn't serve for our veterans to be forgotten about, for them to have to suffer alone, nor do we want them to be zombies on a couch.
Sure.
So if we can alleviate some of that, if we can reduce the number of suicides, if we can help our veterans have a more productive life, have more semblance of what they would call a normal life, then that's what we're here for. And again, we do that at no cost to the veterans.
It's such just a large thing to take on, but also it's just really humbling to know that people like you do things like this for veterans.
Right. And in all honesty, not just our organization, but all across the country,
Sure.
organizations that provide service dogs for veterans, because of organizations like ours, have shown the VA what these dogs can do. For the longest time, PTSD, just like head injuries in football, was ignored. We don't want to talk about it. And over the years, it's had all kinds of different names, from battle fatigue, shell shock, whatever you want to call it. It's always been the same thing. It's PTSD. Right. And so now they are slowly coming around to not only admitting that it exists, but understanding the causes, the effects in relation there, as well as starting to, because of organizations like ours, showing and paving the way, these dogs actually help.
Right.
And so instead of butting heads with us, which has happened in the past, a lot of therapists, when I first started with the organization 3 years ago, I talked with a couple of veterans, and their therapists were a little apprehensive because they even stated, that's a crutch and we don't want you to have another crutch. We're trying to alleviate that. And I said, well, technically, yes, your therapist is right. It is a crutch, just like a crutch is a crutch.
Sure.
They're all medical devices. And just like your therapist's therapy, your medication, these K9s are just a part of it. It's a piece of the puzzle. And I said, and the way I look at it as a person that deals with PTSD, we are just adding another rung to your ladder.
Sure.
That's all you're doing, is building a ladder. So every therapy session is a rung on the ladder. getting your medication right and actually taking them and doing what you should, that's a rung on the ladder, these service dogs, because all we're trying to do is build a ladder so that these veterans can climb out of the hole that their mind has them trapped in. And when I relate it like that to the veterans that are curious about our process and stuff, they start understanding what these dogs actually can do for them. For our PTSD training, we help a lot of our veterans have difficulty being out in public and lots of crowds and things moving around, and especially a lot of times in their peripheral and behind them. They feel that somebody's encroaching on them or sneaking up on them. So our dogs are part of the commands that they are taught are post and block. So it depends on which side of you want the dog to be on. But basically, for instance, if they're in the grocery store and they're on an aisle and they want to look at something, but they don't really want people crowding up behind them or sneaking up in their mind behind them, they can place the dog in either a post or a block position, which basically the dog's going to be sideways in an aisle. And we utilize dogs that are roughly in that 50-pound and above. We're not breed specific, but they do need to be about that size or larger because of some of the mobility stuff we do, as well as the post and block. A Chihuahua is not very imposing and doesn't provide much of a block on an aisle, where a German Shepherd, a Labrador, or something like that, sideways. And it's not that you're preventing people from getting around. It's more that they have to announce that they're there. And excuse me, can I get around your dog? Or is it okay if I go around? Or whatever. It's just to aid in that, so the veteran doesn't feel that somebody's sneaking up behind them, if that's one of their issues. So same thing with the anxiety. We do deep pressure. It's not really a massage, but it's where we train the dogs to, whether the veteran's in a sitting or laying position, the dog positions themselves over the veteran. Depending on the situation, that has varied effects.
Like a weighted blanket or
really
some
is.
type of a pressure point
Completely.
situation.
And the easiest way I can relate it to people that don't understand that concept is it's like a big hug. And it's a stress reliever. It's decompression therapy.
And you don't know you need it necessarily.
Truly.
It's just your mind is...
Truly.
And so much is, advanced in the way of thinking about mental health in conjunction with physical health.
Yes.
And I know that I never would have thought that thing about the K9s, the block, and the
post and block.
You see them in the grocery stores,
Exactly.
and you see their position. But just now, I'm thinking the last time I saw one, it was something like that.
Exactly. And sometimes people get confused because they're not used to seeing a service dog behind someone. Or even sitting facing behind them. It's normally they're in front, beside, whatever. But ours are taught specific tasks that are directed towards some of those issues that some of our veterans have, which, like the watch position, where basically the dog's going to alert you if somebody's coming up behind you, type of thing. So there's various things that we can train depending on the veteran's needs, and though we train the PTSD is all pretty well the same tasks, we can add to that to help each individual veteran. We kind of tailor it to their needs, because not all of them need the same thing, and some need more than others. The other thing is their needs may change. So it's an ongoing process. If the dog needs further training down the road, we can bring them back and work with them to add things. Again, veteran has so many surgeries, things start getting limited, and the dog may need more and more. In addition to that, if the dog times out, it's a senior now, but the veteran's still needing a service dog, and they want to retire that one, they can come back to us. We'll provide them with another dog. If they can afford to keep the original service dog and want to, great. If not, we'll find another veteran that just wants a well-trained, great dog to live out its life. If not, they can come live on my couch.
There you go.
Because we're all about the dogs as much as the veterans. These dogs serve those who served us. So we want to make sure that they are provided for down the road. Or if the veteran passes away and the family says, now what do I do with this dog? They call us back
Sure.
and we'll take care of that for
Sure.
them. So we don't want the dogs ever to be left out as well.
And you said there are certain dogs that you use. What are the dogs that are best suited? What type of, is there a breed in particular?
Not specifically, but typically when I have people ask, especially if they are a dog breeder that's interested in donating dogs to us, because that's how we get all of our dogs, and that helps reduce dramatically the cost.
Sure.
So there's a couple reasons why we do it that way. Number one, we were started by Missouri pet breeders who decided we have these dogs, let's put it all together. So we started that way. The other thing is by being able to track and look at bloodlines, we can see, hopefully ahead of time, any health issues.
Gotcha.
We are trying to provide the best quality we possibly can of health, temperament, training, everything to these veterans. We want to relieve stress, not add stress.
Yeah.
We do not want to add any extra expenses other than normal food and vet care. So we try to look at that first of all, then also we temperament and intelligent test our dogs, to basically give them a general overlook of, yes, we think that it's available for training. Then after the basics, they're usually old enough that we can then take them to the vet and have them health screened.
Gotcha.
We're looking for hip dysplasia. We're looking for different things. Obviously, you can't predict cancer and things that may pop up, but we try to alleviate that ahead of time. Midway Vet Clinic in Neosho does all of our vet work for free. So
that's
we
amazing.
could not do it without that kind of partnership.
It's expensive. Veterinary care is
It truly is, and with what we do, we have to have it.
Right, and not unnecessarily so.
Not at all. Exactly.
It takes a lot.
It does, and all of our dogs are also spayed and neutered before they go to their handler. And then also Pinnacle Vet in Neosho just opened a new facility and provided us, in conjunction with them, it's our new facility too. So we have now a training facility. We have our own spot in the back for my office, boardroom. We're working on a small apartment back there so veterans from out of state can come, no charge. They can train with us. It's going to be great. All of that thanks to Pinnacle doing their thing. They have... it's called All Dogs Dream. Doggy daycare, boarding, grooming, dog obedience, all of that up front pays for the building.
Wow.
It also gives us a training room, gives us all of our stuff free of charge, so that Heartland K9s for Veterans has almost no overhead. All we really pay for is training the dogs.
Right.
We get a discount on that. So our dogs are anywhere from a $10,000 to $15,000 dog that basically... we are in for about $8,000 total.
But that's still a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
It definitely is. Can't do it without public support.
Right.
We do not get any money from the VA.
That was one of my questions.
They're
if the government
slow
helps
to come
anymore.
around. Eventually, that's a possibility.
Sure.
Our new facility was the first step in that. You have to actually have a facility, where before... being mostly all volunteer, we were kind of all spread out.
Sure.
Now we're starting to centralize to work towards that goal. It'll be a long time before I think the government will do a lot of grants and the VA help with complete funding of this type of stuff. That's long, long down the road, but we're working towards that, and we'll work on trying to get some grant money because it is starting to slowly become available. So we are working towards that, but as it's always been, we started in 2014 as an idea. 2015 we became Heartland K9s for Veterans LLC, got our 501c3 non-for-profit status, and went from there. We've placed between 35 and 40 dogs at this point, a little over 35 dogs. Our latest team, we just finished up their training just a few weeks ago, right before Christmas, and they're here in town. And that's a great team. That'll be good.
So how do you match the veteran with the dog? What goes into that?
Well, a lot of that comes down to what are the veteran's specific needs. So the more mobility, sometimes the larger the dog needs to be. The one thing that I always tell the veterans when I'm working with them and they're filling out their application, they're asking questions and we're bouncing stuff back and forth is, we don't have an assembly line of dogs in a back room that we just, okay, you want whatever breed, and we go and grab it. All our dogs are donated, so we are kind of at the mercy of that, number one. But most of the dogs we deal with are well suited for everything we do, unless it is extensive mobility and we need a larger dog. And we have to have a St. Bernard or a Mastiff or a Great Dane or something that's very large.
Help somebody get up.
Exactly,
from that position.
because even though German Shepherds or a Lab or we do standard poodles because they're highly intelligent.
Big and,
but it's very difficult for them to have somebody that's 150 to 200 pounds brace on their back and get up. So it depends on the veteran's needs as to what dogs we actually place them with. But again, most of the dogs that we're dealing with are in that 50 pound and over, most of which are going to be probably in the 70, 80 pound range. And then we have larger dogs if needed, a little bit smaller dog if necessary.
That's the need for veterinary care.
Yeah,
the big
exactly.
dogs.
Yeah, exactly. But it really does come down to the veterans themselves. Also with having the availability of poodles, and we do incorporate the doodles, which, you know, whether it's a poodle lab, poodle golden retriever mix, we know the bloodlines of both, so we know what we're getting there. Those are more hypoallergenic dogs, so if a veteran has some allergies, their spouse, their kids.
Less shedding also, from what I understand, with poodles.
Yes and no. I mean, they're like us. Their hair continues to grow. It falls out. So you do get some of it, but it isn't technically shedding.
Right.
But you do have more in grooming. They're not completely free of any allergy, but they're as close as you can get. And a lot of people like that. So we do have that. Highly intelligent dogs and easy to train.
How long does the training take with the dogs?
Again, depends on the veteran's needs, but typically the dogs are about a year and a half old before they're done completely. But it takes about 3 months if they've had all their basics done. So depends on how quick the dogs pick that up. But after their basics are done, which is usually that first 6 months of their life, they learn leash training, sit, stay, come, kennel, they ride in cars. They start getting exposed and interact with a lot of things. They work on house training, that type of stuff. At that point, then depending on the breed, because different breeds mature at different ages, they will go into task training. That takes about 3 to 4 months for task training. If it's extensive, it may take 6 months if we've got to do a lot of mobility training in addition. Otherwise, it's about 3 months roughly for the PTSD, usually another 4 to 6 weeks for general mobility or anything that we add. Then, once the dog is trained on that, we've worked on public access and we know that the dog is doing well in public settings, interacting with other dogs and strangers in public places and all the noises and commotion. Then we bring the veteran in and start actually training them as a team. Usually along the way, they're working along with the dog, getting acclimated and starting the bonding process. But the actual training is after the dog has pretty much everything under its belt. Then we transition from us and the trainer to now the veteran. This is your new person. They start that bonding process. That takes 3 to 4 months. We don't ever want to hand a veteran a leash and say, there you go. That's just not the way to do it. Then we make sure that they're very comfortable handling the dog before we say, you're good to go. There is not a national certification process or any of that. Someday there will be. We're all about that. We hope so. that'll alleviate the people that try to pass their pet off as a service dog.
Right.
That becomes very problematic for everybody, including those people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those are the dogs that attack our service dogs. Thereby, you can undo years of training in a matter of seconds by letting stuff like that happen. Yeah. So we hope that at some day there is that certification, but we try to make the best effort we can to make sure on our part, yes, our team is doing well. They haven't had anything thrown at them that they haven't been able to take care of. In our testing process, they can only correct the dog if needed a couple of times in the process of us watching them go through their routine. Otherwise, we need to go back and work on some stuff because there's some issues here.
Yeah.
Usually, we know way ahead of time that they're good to go before we test.
So your funding, it comes from obviously the donations of the veterinary clinics. How can people donate? Just anybody?
Well, the vet clinics donate their time and stuff for our vet care. Then we have Petland and Petland Charities have been very gracious over the years. They have, and they just re-upped to do that again for the next few years. They provide one dog a year for a veteran. Okay. They supply the cost for that. That's awesome. So that takes care of one for us. Then the public, they can go on our website. They can donate directly there. If they see us out at events, they might see us at a Third Thursday event in Joplin or the Fall Festival in Neosho, or we have a couple of circle track A-Mod and B-Mod race cars with our logos and stuff on it, friends of ours that race. That want to help the cause. So when they race locally in Springfield, Monette, and places, a lot of times I go there. I'll set up a table and stuff. We've always got T-shirts and caps with our logo and stuff that we sell. All that money goes right back to what we're doing.
Good.
We have almost no overhead. I am literally the only employee. I get paid almost nothing.
And you have a board of directors that...
Board of directors, all volunteers, most of which are veterans themselves.
Right.
President of our board is not only a Marine veteran, but he's also one of the owners of Pinnacle. So why Pinnacle Veterinarian Clinic helps us. Another board member works at Midway, and why Midway helps out with us. They've been very gracious to do that. They're, again, a lot of them are veterans themselves. They understand the need. They understand what these dogs can do. So we're all on board with the task at hand and what we do. We call our mission Operation Heal, because that's what we're trying to do, is heal our veterans that are dealing with it, and hopefully help them not deal with some of this stuff in silence and on their own. And another part of our thing is they have to be in therapy and working with their therapists and the VA and things like that. These dogs are not a cure-all. They're not a magic wand. They're just a part of it. We don't want to try to erase something else with this. We want to work in conjunction to help them. As a person that deals with PTSD, I know you don't cure PTSD. You just find tools that help you manage it each and every day. This is another tool that we want to provide for our veterans who are suffering. And so one of the things that the public can do other than donations, another thing is if they know of a veteran that is suffering with PTSD, dealing with massive depression, anxiety, all these things. They have mobility issues in combination. They think that we can help. Reach out to us. Have the veteran reach out. Have their therapist reach out to us. Be glad to talk to them. For us, qualifications are that they do have to have a rating through the VA.
Okay.
We are looking at the veterans because we want to serve those that are in the greatest need, obviously, first. That may change in time to where we've taken care of all these. Now we can lower the bar a little bit. But for us, they have to have a rating of 50% or higher with their disability through the VA. They need to have the PTSD on there. Now, we have veterans that it doesn't necessarily say PTSD, but it does list out the anxiety and the depression and all of those things that we work with as well. But they do have to have that 50% or higher. We've got a lot of our veterans that are 70 to 100% disabled in conjunction with their mobility and stuff. A lot of them, though, are still working part-time, have jobs, and these K9s help them achieve that, help them maintain that, and give them a level of confidence that they can get out and face the day. And if we can do that each and every day, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Truly.
What type of fundraisers do you have planned or are coming up on the horizon this year?
We always do a disc golf tournament. That's kind of a big thing that we do with a lot of the people in the area that love disc golf. We have people that come from states all around. We didn't do it last year because we had a lot of stuff coming up all at once during that time. We normally do it around Veterans Day. This year, we're going to do it probably in April, though. We're going to do a spring one. We're going to actually, instead of doing it here in Joplin, we're going to do this one this year, I think, down in Neosho. They've got 3 courses down there now. So we're going to do that. We usually do some type of large event. Like this last fall, we did a big off-road event with Jeeps, ATVs, off-road vehicles, which was nice. We did that down in McDonald County at Rush Springs and had a good time. Again, we always do any event that we can be at and participate. That's another thing the public can do if they know of events or they're sponsoring something, they're a member of a Chamber of Commerce, they're having stuff go on, they would like us to be a part of it. We will be there. I like to set up booths and at least pass the word and talk to as many people and let them know what we do.
Yeah.
And get out in the public. And so if there are organizations out there that they're hosting an event or something and they want some non-for-profits to come and set up, let us know. Same thing, Veterans Day celebrations they want us to come to. This past year we went to East Newton High School, did a demonstration there with a couple of our dogs. They do a great presentation for the veterans there every year, so it was nice to do that. I try to get out in every parade I can and do everything that I can just to spread the word and let people know what we do, who we are, and what we're about. And
it's such a worthwhile cause, too.
It really, truly is. And if there are people out there that they've got time on their hands, with our new facility, we're going to be able to do more. That's the one thing with people that have asked in the past, how can I volunteer? How can I help? It's been kind of tough by the way we've had things structured. With the new facility, it's going to make things easier. The other thing that we're going to start doing this year is expanding out into puppy fosters. So that when we get pups donated to us, we will have a network of foster families that can help us raise these pups properly as a service dog, because they have to experience a lot of stuff, but frankly, and it's tough to keep that mindset, but frankly, a little different than a pet, because they really need to experience everything in a happy-go-lucky way, but not necessarily see everything as play.
Right.
They don't necessarily need to see every 5-year-old kid as, oh, I'm about to get pet.
Right.
No, they need to see every 5-year-old kid as, been there, done that.
Sure.
I've seen that. I'm not worried about that kid running at me, screaming and yelling, because I see that all the time. So that's the one thing that it'll be nice to expand to that. And it'll be great for those folks that they want to participate, they want to get involved, they love dogs, but they don't necessarily want the expense of a dog and all of that. We'll take care of the vet care, obviously. We'll take care of the food and stuff and help with all that. We want to expand out, and that will help us provide more dogs by far. And if we can control basically that learning process over those first few months, it's like I've always said training my dogs. If your dog never knows there's an option B, there's never an option B. The training is ongoing, and it just reinforces that and helps the veteran that much more bring all of that back to play. So it's really rewarding to see that, and for some of our veterans, it makes all the difference in the world, truly.
Well, and that's Heartland K9 making all the difference in the world. I want to thank Kevin Pruitt with Heartland K9s for Veterans. If you want to donate to the group, you can go to their website, heartlandk9s, the number 9s.org. This is Newsmakers on KGCS TV from the Ruth Copeland Studios here at Missouri Southern State University, and I'm Bobby Potroff. We'll see you again soon.